GFCI, or Ground Fault Circuit Interrupter, requirements in warehouses, storage, and manufacturing buildings primarily focus on areas where water is present or its use is reasonably expected. The general rule is that GFCI protection is mandated in locations where electrical equipment may come into contact with water, posing a risk of electrical shock. Firstly, kitchens within these facilities almost always require GFCI protection for receptacles serving countertop surfaces. This is due to the proximity of sinks and potential for water spillage during food preparation and cleaning. Secondly, bathrooms or washrooms are another area where GFCIs are mandatory. Receptacles within bathrooms, regardless of their proximity to sinks, showers, or toilets, must be GFCI protected. This requirement addresses the increased risk of electrical shock in damp environments. Thirdly, rooftops that house equipment requiring maintenance, like HVAC units, must have readily accessible 120 volts, 15 amps or 20 amps receptacles that are GFCI protected. This allows technicians to plug in their equipment while adhering to electrical codes for safe operations. There are some other specific instances where GFCI protection is necessary in warehouse, storage, and manufacturing environments. For example, any outdoor receptacles that are readily accessible must have GFCI protection. This encompasses receptacles used for powering tools, equipment, or temporary lighting outside the building. Similar rules also apply to indoor receptacles located in damp or wet locations. If there is a likelihood of water accumulation or splashing near a receptacle, GFCI protection is essential. Areas used for washing vehicles or equipment would also necessitate GFCI protection for any receptacles in immediate vicinity. The reasoning is to protect individuals from electrical shock in areas where water may increase the risk. While the aforementioned situations generally trigger GFCI requirements, there are instances where they may not be strictly enforced. For instance, receptacles that are not readily accessible or are dedicated to specific equipment may be exempt from GFCI requirements. A receptacle is considered readily accessible if it can be reached without having to climb over obstacles, move equipment, or use tools. If a receptacle is solely used for a specific piece of equipment and is not intended for general use, it may not need GFCI protection. However, this exemption should be carefully considered and verified by the authority having jurisdiction to ensure compliance with local codes and regulations. Ground fault circuit interrupters work by monitoring the current flowing through a circuit. If there is an imbalance between the outgoing and returning current, indicating that some current is leaking to ground, the GFCI will trip the circuit, cutting off power and preventing electrical shock. This tripping occurs very quickly, typically within a fraction of a second. GFCIs come in various forms, including receptacle type, circuit breaker type, and portable type. Receptacle type GFCIs are installed in place of standard receptacles and provide protection at a specific location. Circuit breaker type GFCIs are installed in the electrical panel and provide protection for the entire circuit. Portable GFCIs are used for temporary protection and can be plugged into existing receptacles. The National Electrical Code, NEC, Article 210.8 specifies GFCI requirements for dwelling units and other locations. While the NEC provides a comprehensive framework for electrical safety, it is crucial to consult with local codes and regulations, as they may have additional or more stringent requirements. The authority having jurisdiction, OJ, is responsible for enforcing electrical codes and ensuring that installations comply with safety standards. It is always recommended to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical inspector to determine the specific GFCI requirements for a particular project or facility. Firstly, in dwelling units, the NEC requires GFCI protection for 125 volts through 250 volts receptacles installed in bathrooms, garages, outdoors, crawl spaces, unfinished basements, kitchens, sinks, boathouses, bathtubs, and shower stalls. Secondly, the NEC also specifies GFCI protection for specific appliances and equipment such as dishwashers, washing machines, and electric clothes dryers. Thirdly, it is important to note that the NEC is not retroactive, meaning that it does not apply to existing installations unless specifically required by local codes or regulations. However, it is always recommended to upgrade existing installations to meet current code requirements to improve electrical safety. Ground fault circuit interrupters are a critical safety device that helps protect individuals from electrical shock. It is essential to understand GFCI requirements and ensure that they are properly installed and maintained to provide adequate protection. Regularly testing GFCIs is also crucial to ensure that they are functioning correctly. GFCIs can be tested by pressing the test button on the device. If the GFCI trips, it is working correctly. If it does not trip, it may be faulty and should be replaced. Warehouses, storage, and manufacturing buildings typically do not require GFCI protection throughout the entire facility. The primary focus is on locations where water is present or its use is reasonably expected. This approach strikes a balance between ensuring electrical safety and avoiding unnecessary costs and disruptions. There may be cases where an inspector identifies a specific hazard or unusual condition that warrants additional GFCI protection. These situations are evaluated on a case-by-case basis and may require deviations from the standard requirements. It is important to maintain accurate records of all electrical work, including GFCI installations. These records should include the date of installation, the location of the GFCI, and any relevant test results. This documentation can be helpful for future inspections and maintenance. The selection of GFCI type should be appropriate for the specific application. Receptacle type GFCIs are suitable for protecting individual receptacles, while circuit breaker type GFCIs are better for protecting entire circuits. Portable GFCIs are useful for temporary protection in various locations. Ensuring the proper installation and maintenance of ground fault circuit interrupters is essential for protecting individuals from electrical shock. Compliance with electrical codes and regulations is crucial for ensuring a safe working environment.